The latest round of U.S. tariffs has expanded far beyond steel and aluminum. In 2025, Washington has slapped new duties on furniture, heavy trucks, and even certain pharmaceuticals. It's a sweeping move that affects industries from retail to transportation to healthcare. But the big question now is, which sectors could be next? And how should businesses prepare for what looks like a rolling wave of trade restrictions? Let's start with what's already happened. Furniture imports are facing new tariffs, which means higher costs for retailers and, ultimately, higher prices for consumers. If you've shopped for a couch or a dining set in recent years, you know how many of those products come from abroad. With tariffs added, retailers must either absorb the costs, cutting into their margins, or pass them on to households. Heavy trucks are also on the list. That's a direct hit to the logistics and shipping industries. Trucks are the backbone of supply chains, moving goods across the country. Adding tariffs to trucks or key truck components raises costs for carriers, which could translate into higher shipping fees for businesses and consumers alike. And then there are pharmaceuticals. While not all drugs are affected, targeting this sector signals a major shift. Pharmaceutical supply chains are deeply global, with many ingredients and finished products coming from countries like China and India. Tariffs here mean higher costs for hospitals, pharmacies, and patients. In some cases, they may even disrupt supply if importers can't absorb the added expense. So, if these industries are already under pressure, what sectors might be targeted next? One possibility is automobiles. Cars and car parts have long been a flashpoint in trade disputes. With electric vehicles booming and the U.S. pushing for domestic EV production, tariffs on foreign-made vehicles or components could easily be justified politically. That would shake up the auto market, raising prices for consumers and complicating global supply chains. Another likely candidate is consumer electronics. Products like smartphones, laptops, and home appliances are heavily imported. Targeting this sector would hit technology giants and retailers, but it would also raise everyday costs for consumers. Given how sensitive electronics are to global supply chains, even modest tariffs here could cause major disruptions. A third area could be apparel and textiles. Clothing has been relatively spared in the latest rounds, but it's one of the most import-dependent industries. Tariffs on apparel would ripple through major retail chains, online fashion platforms, and discount stores, raising costs across the board. And then there's agriculture. While the U.S. is a major exporter of farm products, it also imports fruits, vegetables, seafood, and specialty goods. Tariffs here could hit grocery prices directly, sparking political backlash. Still, if trade tensions escalate, agriculture could become both a bargaining chip and a target. So, why is Washington expanding tariffs now? The stated reasons are national security, protecting domestic jobs, and reducing reliance on foreign supply chains. But tariffs also serve political purposes. They play well with voters in key manufacturing states and send signals to global rivals. The downside is that businesses and consumers bear the real costs. What should companies do to prepare? First, diversify supply chains. Relying on one country or one supplier is riskier than ever. Businesses that can source from multiple regions will have more resilience if tariffs hit. Second, build flexibility into pricing strategies. Passing costs to customers may work in some sectors, but in others it risks losing market share. Companies need to find the right balance. Third, watch policy closely. Tariff announcements often come suddenly, but businesses that track the political landscape can sometimes see the direction of policy before it lands. Finally, communicate with customers. If prices are going up because of tariffs, transparency helps build trust. Many consumers may not like higher costs, but they'll understand if the reasons are clear. The risk with tariffs is that they rarely stop where they start. Once a government begins targeting industries, momentum builds. That's why businesses in sectors like autos, electronics, apparel, and agriculture should prepare now. For consumers, the bottom line is clear. Tariffs may protect some domestic industries, but they also act like a hidden tax, raising prices on everything from couches to medicine to groceries. For businesses, the challenge is survival. Those that adapt quickly, by diversifying suppliers, managing costs, and planning for uncertainty, will emerge stronger. Those that don't may find themselves caught off guard as the tariff wave moves into new industries. The big question is not just which sectors are next, but how far this tariff era will go. If it keeps expanding, global trade could be reshaped for years to come. The bottom line, tariffs are no longer a limited tool. They're spreading across industries. Furniture, trucks, and drugs are just the beginning. Companies in every sector should be asking one urgent question. Are we ready if our industry is next?